Hello everyone, Jacob Williams here. Today is November 3rd, 2022. Today my guest is Caitlyn Keller. She is a tremendous athlete who has scoliosis with two lovely children. And today we get into the nitty-gritty about her time dealing with all the marathons and races and the obstacle courses that she has done in her life, as well as a few other things. Check it out. Hi, Caitlyn.
Hey, Jacob. Sorry. Thank you so much for your understanding.
Oh, no issue here.
I'm a person that is always needed. I work for Wheeler Clinic, and so I'm just constantly busy and with family and, every day things. So it's like, okay, guys, I had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Do your kids drive you crazy too?
I'm ready. I'm great. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to this.
I know, I can't.
I apologize that I can't be in person.
No, it's no issue. Most people when they call in,
Yeah.
it usually would have begun with this podcast episode or any other podcast episode being in person, but it's usually because of like technical difficulties or like last minute changes. It more than often results in what we're doing right now, which is fine by me. I get good audio.
No, I would have really loved to had the full effect, and if I didn't catch COVID, I would have then had the time off. However, I am running New York City on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
As a first-time marathoner, and so I was like, well, I can't really take time off now because I plan to take Monday and Tuesday off, and that was kind of already set there. But I'm hopeful that if I should have another opportunity, that I will allot myself enough PTO time to come out and meet in person.
That'd be wonderful.
I think that's really important for me.
Yeah. You said you're doing the New York race on this Sunday?
I am.
You excited?
Yes. I'm so excited. I wanted to kind of go back in my emails and so forth and give you some dates and some placements that I've had. But I will let you ask any questions that you have, and I'd like to kind of fill you in on two in particular races that I've had this year with Achilles. I had started with Achilles, I believe, back in 2015 or 17, but I hadn't done anything with them. I was at a really low mental place in my life, challenged by a divorce of a domestic violence.
Oh, wow.
Physical and mentally, kind of hurt by those things. And so, previous to that and a physical injury that I've endured, I was running Spartans, and I would run all around New England, and I was always running some kind of road race. And that came about in high school because I am in active recovery. I will have made 12 years of sobriety this coming February.
Awesome. Congrats.
And thank you. And so basically high school is like, get a job, do a sport, do something, or we're gonna kick you out. And I was like, well, shoot, okay. So my mom said, well, you're gonna run. You're gonna run. Because that's what you used to always do when you get mad. And we literally, I could make it from my house in Bristol to Hartford at before I could drive. But then I'd be too tired to come back. So I'd be like, come on, can you come get me from this destination, And I was always the kid to get on their bike even in the pouring rain, just get out, because that was such an outlet for me, having a intellectual disability.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of all of those things that I've mentioned, I qualified to become a member of Achilles. And so then in 2018, I endured a back injury from a related. I was working in home care, and so in 2019, I had a back surgery levels, and I was nearly paralyzed. I had no function from my pelvic floor down, so I definitely wasn't running at that point. And I was completely bedbound. I wound up having surgery, and even though some of the symptoms definitely went away, it elongated my ability to, in recovery, to get back up and do the things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a really long road. I'm now faced with degenerative disc disease.
Mm-hmm.
I have tremors.
Are these
And
parts of your scoliosis, or is this something completely different?
So they did say I had like a very, very, very small scoliosis. However, these are after effects of damage from walking with these broken discs for so long. But having the surgery really alleviated a lot of other symptoms that I was faced with when having the actual back broken itself. So I had the back surgery in 19, and just last year, a year ago, this coming weekend,
Mm-hmm.
I did one race with Achilles, because I was like, all right, I really want to try to get back out there. If I don't try, it's just never going to happen.
So
I did Race to Fill the Pantry
mm-hmm.
in 2021, and that was a 5K, and it was really challenging, but like I finished, and I was so proud.
Mm-hmm.
And Achilles really had my back. And I think at that point we weren't doing like in-person like trainings and like getting together and things like that, because COVID was still pretty high.
Yeah.
So I'd really never met anyone like ever. I think I met Aaron once.
Mm-hmm.
Before having the back injuries and so forth. But anyways, I had never run with anyone from Achilles. I'd never truly been physically in part with the team until last year. And then I didn't do anything with them going forward. And I'm not really sure why. I think that I just kind of got down on myself. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. That 5K was really difficult. I had gained a lot of weight and just wasn't mentally ready to deal with some of the stressors of getting back into running and how to prepare myself. But I felt really good about completing that. So then go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask, because you've been running since a very young age, like you said before, would you say that, like, it seems like it's more like a therapeutic kind of thing for you?
Absolutely.
Did that help with like the recent divorce, or did it? Is it kind of like something that you can't really live without? I've known a lot of people from Achilles that.
Yeah, I can't live without running. And so it was just like one of those things where it's like, that was taken away from me when, so to speak, when I was married, and married to someone that I've known since we were 9, and we're the same age, 30
Oh,
years.
wow. Were you guys high school sweethearts?
Yeah. So we met previous to me moving to Connecticut, and he was in a classroom of some of my step-siblings. And so when I would come and visit my mom on school breaks from Indiana, where I'm from, he would be there, and he would just chase me around, and so we kept in communication for all these years. And it's unfortunate that not everyone turns out the way that you want them to be, and they're still love. It's just from a very, very, very far distance.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, I've had family members of mine, like my cousins, they went through a divorce. I've had friends who had parents that were together for like decades, and they would get divorced. It's a very, at least in
it's a very emotional roller coaster.
this is a great way to start an episode. This is awesome. Well, no,
Yeah.
this is why I have these sorts. This is why I'm on the podcast in the first place, is because I don't want to just ask you, questions relating to like your scoliosis and what does Achilles mean to you. Like I'm not trying to be that PDF that you fill out before you become an Achilles International member. I'm trying to understand who you are as a person, and then from that try to get a better idea of how the decisions you made and ultimately your decision to join the community changed you, and how you also changed the community in of itself,
Right. And I think that those are all very important factors. And I was just describing to a patient of mine, hopefully this piece recorded. However, I was just relaying, a little bit of my backstory to a patient of mine, because I work in behavioral health and substance abuse for adult outpatient. So that's another way that I get back to the community, is somewhere where I once was a patient myself. I now work as a person with recovery. So I get to have like that one-on-one with people that were once in my position.
Yeah.
Once I've grown that personal life, I think, once I had changed positions in my professional life and I had come to Wheeler, I instantly just like lost some weight because I wasn't so stressed out. And I knew that, there were no more active treatments that to be had, because I'd been through so much treatment for my back and my leg.
Yeah.
That once I got a desk job, so to speak, where I could get up and move freely still, but I wasn't chasing people around, or, lifting elderly, or, driving for hours on hours around the state as a supervisor to a home care community, running and managing a day program for developmental services. It's a day break program over on a 22-acre farm. So I'm really well-rounded with the human services community. And as my 8-year-old daughter would say, people that have different abilities, because she doesn't like the term disability. She's mom, it's people with different abilities, and everyone has that. And so I commend her for that. I rejoined Achilles. I didn't leave Achilles, but I kind of like re-entered like that forest, because I had remembered that Aaron had mentioned that the same day as Race for the Pantry was New York City. And I go, wow, you guys do New York City? That's awesome. Like, people wait their whole lives to get into this thing. And so my first practice was in March of 2022, this year, with Achilles. And I won second place overall in the adaptive ambulatory division, 10K. I was dying. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this.
I love how you describe it as 10K of dying. Not running, not jogging, but just dying.
10K of dying.
That's like a perfect analogy right there. because I've ran long distance as well, and like the first 3 or 4 miles is always fine, but after that it's just when's this gonna end?
Right, exactly. So that was the Bradley Road Race.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I did some others. I must have a record somewhere, and I could probably get that for you. But the next that I won, oh my God, I'm so excited. I won. Like, if I finish, I won, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this year has been about not compete, but I'm also competing against myself to see that I'm safely finishing. And for a multitude of reasons. But
Mm-hmm.
I got third place in the women's adaptive ambulatory division for the Gaylord Gauntlet. Now, let me tell you, it was a 5K. It was a 20 obstacle OCR.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing ultras for Spartan in Killington, Vermont.
Oh, the Spartan races.
I was doing, yes, I have 3, so a total of 9 medals, where it would be the sprint, and then I forget, and then the ultra. And so you could close these medals by having 3. So the beginner, intermediate, and
Yeah.
double, right? And so I have a total of 9 of those.
Jesus.
And I was like, I am never gonna be able to do an OCR again. I don't have the strength. I don't have the all these things. And I went out there, and I got third place. I was like, I don't care if I got third place. I got third place. I have never placed.
That's insane.
When doing these OCRs, when I was tiny and able-bodied, right? And
Yeah.
I was pulling men's weight. And so then the day after that, I ran Hopes and Possibilities in Central Park. And that was cool. I didn't place, but I wasn't, none of these I was looking to place. I just went out and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it was kind of like a fiasco because I was so dead tired from the OCR, and we had a fatality across the street from where we live during the time of my obstacle course race with Gaylord. We had, unfortunately, someone that we knew, obviously he lived across the street from us and was younger, in his life. And so, when I came home from Gaylord, and I got all these messages and phone calls, and saw all of that kind of coming together, all of these things unleashing at that time, I was just mentally exhausted and sad and so many emotions. I'm like, oh my God, he just decided that's it.
Yeah.
And so I missed it. I missed my carpool. But I was determined to go because I wanted to be one of those ones that ran a double race same weekend. And I'd never run Central Park ever.
Have you ever?
And so
were you ever in Central Park before you did this race?
Yeah, I had been in it. Just kind of visiting and things like that. But I never really gotten the full view of Central Park. So I ended up downloading an app on my phone for parking, and I put some gas in my car at a local gas station. And when I was supposed to meet some people in Naugatuck, I was just waking up at 4:30.
Yeah.
And so by 4:45, I was out the door. I don't even know who I am, but I'm out the door. And so I drove to New York City, and I got parking, and I ended up walking 45 minutes to the start of the tent, rather, because the way that the GPS GPS showed me that, oh, it was right here at the back of, Central Park. And I'm like, great, it'll be like 10-minute walk, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I like barely made it to the starting line.
Oh, wow. So
And
you had
then,
no time
yeah,
to like stretch or get yourself
no
mentally
time,
prepared. It was just go
nothing.
go
I
at 'em,
just
basically.
woke up and chose running, and determination, and
Yeah.
and chose violence in my own demise because I was. So, anyways, I completed it, and it felt really good to just be there and complete.
Yeah.
I was supposed to run New Haven half, and I didn't. But I did run Cheshire half
Mhm.
this year, and that was nice. I met some really great people there as well. I was like third to last out of every single participant there, and we watched both pizza trucks go by us, like leaving the venue. But it's fine. I completed it.
Yeah.
It definitely took me much longer than expected, because I didn't train for it. I just went, and I go, oh, okay, hold the phone. Like, I did Cheshire one other time before, I was kind of incapacitated with, leg issues. But at that, about the 7-mile mark, I began to have tremors.
Uh-oh.
Because I wasn't fueled right. I didn't have gels. I tried the liquid that they had available. I was sick. And then I was stressed out. And so I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go down. I'm going to have, this tremor is not going to go away if I don't just stop. And the two gentlemen that were guiding me were just so lovely. And they were like, we've been doing this so long, we don't care. We could always use a walking break. They made me feel so comfortable. And we finished. And that was a big accomplishment for me because I never thought I was going to make it through. And my uncle and I had this big running joke. We both work in the human services field and do really well, but we've both encountered some troubles in our past lives, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I say, my uncle, like, dude, there's no way I'm getting in the back of a cop car to finish this race. Like, it's just not, like, no. Like, I'm not against police and things like that, but you truly only go into the back of a police car if you've done something that you shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And so, A, I don't want to be traumatized, and B, like, I don't want to quit this.
Yeah.
But I also want to be safe. So however I can get there, and I know that, there are a lot, like the police officers in general and police that are at these races know that that's part of their role. And I'm so open to having them help me to the finish line. So be it if I need the help, but I'm like, if I'm just tired and like I know I can just muster through this without injuring myself, like there's no way I need to get in that car.
Yeah.
Like I'm finishing. So we just kind of like talk about that, and it's really fun between the two of us. But so I did that, and then I didn't do New Haven. But I put in for, I think the biggest accomplishment was New York City.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, if I get in, I guess I'll train. And if I don't, I'll figure out how to train and try to get in for next year, do like 9+1 or, just kind of go from there. And I got an email shortly after I applied, and I talked with Aaron, and, a barrier for me was financial. And so Achilles, I'm very grateful to have them help me through the process of applying for financial assistance because the ticket's like $300.
Wait, $300 was the original price,
Yeah, like
or was that after
like
the discount?
No, there's no discount. That's the price for everybody.
Oh.
It was like $305 or something like that. So just over that amount. And I was like, oh my God, there's a
That seems like a
So
lot
Achilles
for like
really
a race.
helped me with that, you know, to break down that burden. And then I got an email that says, you know, you've been accepted to New York City Marathon, and I sent the screenshot to my mom, and I go, oh my god, I think this is the biggest scam I've ever had in my life. Like, there's no way. And so I, like, you know, Google searched it, like, so much, and I was like, oh my god, this is it! Like, I got it! I got into New York City. I'm like, oh no, what do I do? Like, I forgot my name, like, everything, and then I looked at my boss, and I go, I'm really sorry, I need to get my car for a few minutes and just, like, shriek with happiness, because I got into New York City. And coming from someone that was told, like, hey, you probably aren't ever gonna, like, walk right again if you walk. And people truly, like, tried their entire lives to get into this. And because of Achilles, I didn't have to time qualify.
Yeah.
Because I'm racing as an athlete with disabilities. So I just got in. I just, like, walked right into this. And so I've been training, and it's been great. Mostly training by myself.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We've had a great crew of trainers and, you know, guides throughout the Achilles community in the Connecticut chapter that have been really helpful. And so I'm looking for the opportunity of getting that medal around my neck.
You already have so many medals, though.
Like, yeah,
so many.
I don't think too many. Like, I've lost probably 30 through my divorce, because it was just one of those things where I had to pick up what I could and, like, leave the rest behind. And so I've been racing with, you know, with the exception of, like, 2017 or 18 into just this past year, I've raced since I was 17. Competitively, well, you know, road races and things like that. And, even if you don't get a medal, you get a bib, and so those are just equally as important as these kind of sentimental reminders of, like, hey, yeah, you did this.
Yeah, like nice little mementos and milestones for what you accomplished.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
Were you ever able to get those medals back, or are they just gone forever?
They're just gone.
Oh.
They're just gone.
That's a
I have
shame.
my Spartans. I was able to collect those quickly because they were kind of, like, out on the table, and I was just, like, to wipe, and I put them in my bag and went.
Yeah. Do you switch between doing marathons and obstacle courses that often? Like,
so this will be my official first marathon, like, ever. I've never run, like, an official.
You've only done, like, the 5Ks and the 10K.
I've only done, like, 5 and 10Ks and half. Yeah. So you know, I'm looking at getting back into some obstacle course racing.
Yeah.
For next year.
What are you looking into?
But I'm looking at sprinting again, but I think I'm actually leaning towards CrossFit. Because a local gym participates in the open games.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, I do plan to stick with Achilles and run the road races, but also I would like to powerlift. I would like to give it a try. Trying to get some strength back in that.
You gotta be mentally prepared for that, though, because I've done CrossFit once, and it's a really funny story. I to now, and I remember the first time I did CrossFit. It was during the off season in my lacrosse high school, like team. I think it was a high school team. And I think it was senior or junior year. And I remember one of the first days I did CrossFit, we were doing these circuits which had us doing box
Oh,
jumps,
yeah.
medicine ball crunches, sled pushes and drags,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Yep.
it was like a number of different things. And this was like over like a few weeks, but it was on the first day when this happened. I was so out of shape that by the second circuit, I think, or the third, I started to black out. I did not have enough
Oh,
water,
no.
and we're doing the box jumps.
Yeah, yeah.
And as I'm doing the box jumps, I start seeing like purple dots all in my vision. I start like everything. I didn't realize what was happening to me at the time, but I was so dehydrated that my body was basically shutting down. Now I just thought that my ears were popping at the moment. I was just tired,
Right.
and I ended up not jumping high enough on the box. And let me tell you, these
Oh,
boxes were like,
no.
they're not like the soft, cushy boxes
No,
that you
they're
have
like
at
hard
like,
wooden boxes,
oh,
right?
and like the corners aren't sandpapered, so they just tear up your shins when you hit them.
You should.
That's basically what happened. I didn't jump that high enough. I slammed my shin into this edge of the box, crashing down. Everyone in the gym, including my high school lacrosse coach, was looking at me, wondering if I was dead or alive. And then for the next hour, I just kind of like sat there, drinking water and trying to convince my coach not to call my dad to like pick me up. I was very determined, even though I was very unfit at the time. But it was good times. But that's the stuff you gotta be prepared for.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah, of course.
you've done the marathons and the Spartans, so
Yeah.
you're definitely in a much better place than I was at that time.
I'd like to do like a 24-hour
Oh,
thing. Like I like those kind of like nighttime overnight challenges.
mm.
The latest that I've stayed out was the duel in Killington, Vermont, and I was taken off course at the peak of the mountain because I was exhibiting what do you call it? Basically, I couldn't feel like my nose and toes, and so it took some.
Oh, you're getting hypothermia.
Hypothermia, yeah. I had a wetsuit on, and I couldn't figure out where the baggage, where to drop the baggage off.
Oh
And so
no.
there was a portion where you had to swim, and Vermont gets cold very quickly.
Oh no, it gets freezing, especially up in Vermont.
Sure. So I'd like to really try to like focus on some of those things maybe in the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
I did hike a little piece of the Appalachian Trail with my children and my dog for my birthday, so that was fun. Because I don't have the opportunity now, or probably within the next 2 years, to through hike. So I'm interested to do a lot more hiking and a lot more trails and trail running before kind of getting full throttle back into obstacle course racing, because that is just a whole different animal.
Yeah, it seems like you're.
Some different thoughts.
Yeah, it seems like you're never running out of things to achieve. And you already got the medals. You're already. You're always looking. You're hung. There's not that many people
Hungry.
I know.
I'm very hungry.
You're very hungry for those sorts of challenges, and I admire that because
Sure.
I try to do the same thing. Like I've always wanted to do the Appalachian Trail. Have you ever considered doing the? I'm sure you know what the Triple Crown is, where you do the Appalachian, where are the other ones on the West Coast? There's the Continental Divide one, and there's one more. What is it?
I don't know that I've heard of this, but I'm definitely going to be checking it out now.
Check it out. Look up Triple Crown Trails. I think it's what you look up.
There's a thing in New Mexico called the Duck March.
It's not that.
Yeah,
That's
you have to
completely
check that
different.
out.
It's a
But
different
do you know
thing.
about this?
No. What's it called? The Dust March?
You have to look at the Duck March. Yeah, I believe it's in New Mexico. And it's
I
like
heard
all
that
in the
place has
tandem.
really. I've been down there.
It's literally march of death.
Have you been down that south, like in Arizona or New Mexico?
I lived in Vegas for some time, but that's as close as I've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Vegas right out of high school, and so I'm hopeful to kind of go back out into the West. My dad has some property in Wyoming, so I said, I'd like to go out there and visit too. I
Yeah.
really like the hot springs and the upscale peak mountains, which something that we do have here in the New England area, but the foliage is different here than it is out west.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, that's like one of the great that's one of the reasons why I want to do this Triple Crest, because in the areas that they're located at, they're so vastly different from one another. They're
Sure.
The Continental Divide and the West Coast Trail. That's on its official name, but I'm calling it for now because I can't remember.
Sure.
They're so much different than the
Yeah.
Appalachian Trail. It's incredible.
So I'm interested to hear about some other questions that you have, or some other things that
Oh,
are kind of shared with you with Achilles.
sure. Yeah. I want to do. Well, so here's the thing. You're a very good talker. So for the most part, you've been basically answering. You've been answering most of my questions.
I see. Okay, great.
But
I tried in Googling these questions.
it's also
It's
like
information
a
that I genuinely like to share.
Oh no, I genuinely like to listen.
Yeah.
And that this isn't, and like I said before, having those genuine conversations that are not basically just me asking you questions and you answering them. That's what I try to achieve. And I especially with you, like if you're on a tangent talking about your life story and like all the different things you want to do with your life, I'm not going to go ahead and stop you just to ask some random offbeat question that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. I don't want to do that. That's not good for that's not good for the conversation. But now that you've asked, let's see here. Do your kids ever participate in the races that you do or the obstacle courses?
My daughter actually, we did celebrate with Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, did I do that with Achilles or no? I don't remember. I don't remember. Oh God, I'm a bad person. My daughter did this fun run in West Hartford,
Mm-hmm.
and she was so fast I lost her, and I thought, oh my God, because she has an apple tag on her. And I know, like, the little course that they did.
Yeah.
And so I had a family member set aside to kind of watch over Sophia,
Mm-hmm.
but I did the 5K. And she was like, no, Mom, I want to do it with you.
Aww.
And I was like, sure, like, you're so tired. No, I'm not tired at all. Just give me a Gatorade, okay?
Kids
So
never
close,
run
but
out of stamina, I
You
swear.
know, and she actually didn't have a bib, and I go, well, I don't think anyone's going to care, right? I mean, you have a bib on, but, like, the fun run, kids run. And I was like, I don't care. What is it going to do? Boot us off? All right, let's do it. And so she would start out real fast, and Sophia, don't run so fast. You're going to get really tired. No, I'm not. And so we almost did, like, a relay for this 5K. And so she'd run up, and then she'd kind of, like, stop. And she'd take a little sip of her drink. And then she's like, okay, Mom, now you run. And so I'd run to her, and then we'd walk a little while, and then she'd start running again when she got that kind of oomph to keep pushing. And then I would run. And we did this 5K, this run walk 5K together in like 46 minutes, which is great.
That's pretty good.
We were just doing like this little relay thing, And, when you're working with a high energy little body and a tired mama,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, we're going to finish this thing because it's further to walk back than it is to complete it. And she goes, oh, I want to win this. I want to win this. And so, it was really nice because I was like, oh, how long is this going to take? And I said, well, we're not going to have this intrusive thought. We're just going to finish as we finish, and we'll be cool. And so it was really like a nice mom-daughter fun run thing.
Yeah.
And so though she's not coming with me, my son is kind of involved in some other activities. But they both plan to watch me live stream on Sunday from their iPad because there's just so many people going to be in New York. I'm like, I can't get to you if someone takes you.
Mm-hmm.
And that would just crush me. So they're going to stay home and safe, and they're going to live view stream from the New York City Roadrunners app.
Yeah.
Which will be really fun.
That's incredible.
We do quite a bit of activity together.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, or does it look like that your daughter will be doing more races in the future, or is that she just wants to have like the mom-daughter time?
I believe both. I think that she really is a skillful person, and really likes to get out and have friends that are like-minded, and so she's always first in line, she says, when it's time to run at gym.
Yeah.
And, for next season, she wants to join a track club, appropriate for her age. It's just that we're invested in 3 types of dance and Taekwondo weekly.
She takes Taekwondo?
So she takes, both of my children take Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm. Do they take any other sorts of martial arts?
No, that's just it.
That's always an interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
Do you try doing it with them?
I defend myself. No, I don't do Taekwondo, but I do defend myself with them. And they're like, hey, Mom, look. Yeah. I'm like, oh, God, no. But I'm a very big supporter of them.
Yeah.
I sit outside of their class every Monday and Wednesday rooting for them. But no, it's not something that I'm interested in. I need kind of
I don't know. I mean, like you see, if you're willing to through hike the Appalachian Trail or do the hundreds of other things that you've already done before, I mean, like, you could always try some more Taekwondo. There's nothing bad about it, Like, I've taken a bunch of different martial arts classes. I've done jiu-jitsu, boxing, Taekwondo, karate, and I would say that the best ones, personally for me, it's jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. But with Taekwondo, you get really good at developing your kicks very well as your sense of balance.
Oh, I see.
Because
and I might need that.
it's good. It's really good exercise, and it's definitely like if I want to achieve a flexibility level that allows me to say get my ankle over my head, Taekwondo would be the type of martial art. Besides maybe kickboxing, but mainly Taekwondo because it really focuses on kicking. That would be the one where I would use to kind of achieve that goal.
Right.
It's really fun too. It's fun kicking pads. I say that from personal experience.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So you said that this is your first marathon, correct?
My
coming
first
up.
road race marathon. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're trying to do, like, have you done the half marathons before? You said, I'm pretty sure you did. Right.
I've done 2 half marathons, and they were both at Treasure, Connecticut half marathons.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing some others. Oh wait, hold on! I did do Bristol. Sorry, I forgot. That was a while ago. I think that was in 15 or 16.
2015. Oh. How did the COVID years impact your training regimens?
Honestly, COVID didn't affect my training abilities because I wasn't training at all for other health reasons. I can say that with a collection of employment status and needing to verify that I've had a COVID vaccine, it definitely put a damper on my thoughts of wanting to participate in, sports activities. And I think that my political and personal views, just as everyone else, can be a challenge to sort of share that information. But honestly, I didn't want to be involved with anyone that forced upon a vaccination status for races. And then I was like, well, I'm already vaccinated through work, through working with that type of population, so at this point it doesn't matter. Yeah. I think that would have been the only hurdle if it was a mandate for me to work in the field that I work in.
All right.
But that's it.
Yeah. Other people, they had to drastically change their schedules and basically their regiments. I've interviewed people where they would be doing what you were doing, like constantly running these marathons or running these obstacle courses, and then once 2020 hit, just all of that went to like a standstill, and they had to stick to like basically changing their whole plan, and they had to go either inside or not work out at all, focus on other things other than training, things like that.
I do see people, not to cut you off, and I apologize, wearing a mask or double mask and, things like that in the gym.
We had that here. In my school with the Quinnipiac, we had to wear masks in the gym for a very long time. And I remember how that was probably one of the worst. I mean, I got through it, and honestly, I don't know how. But when the worst thing was like trying to run on the treadmill with those masks on, and the bad part wasn't actually wearing the mask. Although it's now that like we're not really wearing masks anymore and stuff, it's significantly easier. But every time I wear my mask, the ones that my mother gave me, because she's a nurse as well, in Nashua in New Hampshire, so she would like kind of give me the the leftover boxes for free, so I didn't have to like pay for like masks all the time. And the specific masks that I got are like paper thin, like they're lightweight, they're meant to be used for a very short amount of time and then just thrown out afterward. But the material was so bad that when I wear it, it would always go underneath my nose because they're not like perfect size and stuff, and I'm like running, so I'm like moving around and stuff, and they would just completely get soaked in sweat to the point where whenever I was breathing hard and I started sweating, I was essentially waterboarding myself. like every single time.
Yeah.
Like it would get soggy and stuff, and sometimes the fabric would get so weak that the mask would literally fall apart like on my face, and I'd have to like leave the gym, go grab another mask, and come back and continue my workout. So it was an interesting time.
When I kind of first felt like I was having COVID several weeks ago, when I had put on these medical grade masks, like, you know, the blue and white or whatever, I got really dry. I mean, I already can't breathe with these things on. They say, oh, you can breathe, but, like, not at the same capacity as I can freely, you know, without this mask on.
Oh, yeah, there's a huge difference.
Golly, and I can't wear my glasses, and it's just, like, this whole big thing. I'm so frustrated over it.
Did your glasses always get, like, fogged up and stuff whenever you breathed?
Yeah, and I can't master how to wear the mask with the glasses, so not that talented. But when I was wearing this mask, I would get really dry throat and, like, itchy and scratchy, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And I sounded worse than I felt because I had to wear this mask, and I was in a setting where I couldn't take it off, so I had to excuse myself, and then I just went home, and later on that day tested, and it was positive, and I go, well, I'm glad I'm home because I'm not wearing this mask, because it made me feel even worse.
Yeah.
So
I remember catching, I got vaccinated once. I had to get boosted twice. Once for the getting back here to the school, and then another time for when I went out to LA this past summer. The West Coast, they're very tight when it comes to COVID security.
Sure.
But I remember that I ended up catching the original COVID before I was able to get vaccinated. So I had like the OG COVID.
Boy.
That it wasn't honest. It was kind of funny, to be honest, because I talked to this with my parents and stuff, and we have like laughs over it. Is that I didn't even know I had COVID. I thought I had like a chest cold. Like I felt like I had
like
phlegm. I never had the flu, so I didn't really have that to compare it with. But I remember I would wake up one morning, I felt like I had like more phlegm in my lungs than usual. I'm like, that's odd.
Right.
And then I'm like, this isn't really something I've experienced before. Maybe it's COVID, maybe it's not. Best not to exaggerate or like freak out. I'm just going to stay in my room. All my classes are online anyway. It's no big deal. The next day, I don't feel anything. So I'm assuming, must have been like a chest cold or whatever. I'm fine, whatever. I proceed to go on like a 5-hour hike with my, at the time, girlfriend.
Yeah, sure.
On the Sleeping Giant. And then...
Oh, I like Sleeping Giant, yeah.
Oh, Sleeping Giant's beautiful. I go there all the time. But it wasn't until maybe after the weekly tests that we had to take at the time did I find out that I was positive for COVID. And I was like completely off guard, because at that point I completely forgot about the whole having phlegm in my lungs, and I had to be quarantined for like 10 days in this one room. And it was okay. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I learned how to use a deck of cards, for one thing. I kept myself busy. But what made it worse wasn't the fact that I was in quarantine or that I had COVID. The worst part was that the place I was staying at was next door to where my younger sister, who also comes to the same school as me, lives. And she would taunt me because she didn't have COVID, and, you know, she was a sophomore at the time, so she'd go out on Fridays for partying and stuff. So every time she would go out to, like, a house party, like, with her friends, she'd always pass by my window. Every single time. And she'd be cracking her jokes and stuff and telling me, like, oh, it must be bad that... And you're like, it's jail time.
Sure.
You know, doing annoying sister stuff. But yeah, it's...
Yeah, I understand. So I'm just wondering if there's any wrap-up questions that you had, or if there's any follow-up questions. Feel free to reach out by phone or email.
Sure.
And I would love the opportunity to come in and kind of dive in some more into our podcast session.
Yeah.
It's just at this time I need to kind of get back to
no
what
worries
I
to
was
say.
previously working on.
Yeah. I got nothing else to say. I was just going off on a tangent. But if you have anything else before we end this episode, is there anything else you'd like to say? Something to the Achilles community?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to just thank them for the opportunity, for, not only acknowledging the intellectual piece for my different abilities, right? But also being so open and considerate and just, hey, we're here, we're ready for you whenever you're ready for us kind of attitude, and really kind of breeze through a lot of uncertainties that I had, a lot of questions, where do I leave my things, like how can I, such as like my car keys or like a bag or like, like my personal things that are dear to me, and also training and how to be safe and how to make sure that other people know who I am and I know who other people are. And so we're really just kind of like this family and community instead of just like another number, like, oh yeah, this racer Caitlyn Keller. And so I feel really just proud to be a part of such a large community. And as I get ready for these larger races with Achilles, I see so many people from different countries and different, states close and near and far by, that all share the same values as I do. And so, and other people of Achilles and in the Connecticut chapter, and it's just like so peaceful to know that I have a great support system in that community, whereas I may or may not have in the family and friends in my personal life. And so I've always got Achilles to kind of back me up and say, hey, like, you've got this. And there's always going to be someone there for me at the end of the finish line, waiting for me to cheer me on and say, like, hey, you did this. And you did this because we gave you the tools, but, like, you followed through. So we're here to help guide you, but it's really because of yourself that you've made it through this finish line. And that, to me, is just, like, the greatest feeling.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note then, Caitlyn, it was I had a wonderful time talking to you today. I wish you the best of luck at your work.
I enjoyed your company as well.
And I hope to have you on a future podcast episode.
Absolutely.
Until then,
until then,
I wish you the best of luck as well on the this Sunday's race in New York. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. I'll be in Glastonbury instead. We couldn't get a pass to enter that race, unfortunately, but I'll be with you in spirit. How about that?
Yes, absolutely. And then maybe after we can do a follow-up and in person, and we can talk about the race and talk about the mechanics of Achilles and all the things that go into it, for a first-timer.
Yeah.
And really for the first full active year with Achilles. I mean, I've done so much, and they've, helped me along this journey. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much.
And thank you. Again.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
And we'll keep in touch.
For sure. You have my number, right. So just call whenever. Have a good one.
I will do that. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Caitlyn Keller I'm your host, Jacob Williams of the Moving Forward podcast with Achilles International. And that's another one for the books. See you guys next week.